Hi, today I'm going to be recreating Crossy Road but on PC, the most downloaded game in 2014 with over 50 million downloads in the first 90 days, but I'm going to be making it with realistic graphics and RTX turned on. This video idea was taken from Fat Dino, so go check out his channel in the description below. Without further ado, let's begin. For my engine of choice, I'll be using Unity, because I'm pretty comfortable with C#. I started by writing the player script. I need the player to be able to move forwards, backwards, left and right, and also turn towards that direction when moving, just like in Crossy Road. So I compiled this script that will allow me to do this. I also need a chicken model, so I found this one online. By the way, all links to the models I used will be provided in the description below. Now let's go ahead and create some animations for it. As you may know, in Crossy Road whenever the player moves, he jumps, so I want to imitate that jump exactly. I also created an idle animation and a death animation, where the chicken gets squashed. And now our chicken works fine. So the next thing we need is some tree obstacles. In Crossy Road throughout the map, there are trees that you can't walk through. So I imported a tree into Unity and made it so that the player cannot walk through them. Perfect. Now that the obstacles are in the game, let's create some cars and make them move. I spent some time trying to find some models and added them into the game. I set up some colliders on them and made sure to make them a trigger. Then in a script I set up its movement and made it completely customizable, so that every car can have a different speed and different attributes. Just to be clear, I imported different car models to make it more random. Also, for those wondering how I actually move the car, I use a simple line which is this.transform.translate speed times time.delta time. It's the simplest way to do it. I then set up a detection system for the chicken. I basically fire out a raycast from the chicken in front of him, so if there is an obstacle there, the raycast will detect it and won't allow the player to move to that spot. It's a nifty little system that works wonders. Right, so next I decided to create some coins. Obviously, in Crossy Road you can unlock different characters and buy them. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to make collectible coins. So I downloaded a model of £2 and set it up in game. I gave it a little idle animation to make it look cooler and set up some colliders so the player can interact with it. I also made sure when the player collides with the coin gets destroyed. And I made a float variable called coins which will be increased every time the player collects a coin. Next, I really need to make the level generation mechanic. So Crossy Road is an endless game and I need to replicate that in Unity. So let's go through the process step by step. Firstly, there are going to be different terrain paths that can be spawned. Grass, road, water and train. By the way, I'm referring to the base game here. So we need a way to randomly choose one of these terrains and spawn it. And then spawn another terrain after that and so on. So I created temporary terrain pieces that we will use for the level generation part. Next, I created an empty object called level generator and attached a blank script called terrain generation. On here, I created an object array where I assigned all those previous created pieces. And then I made a system that will randomly choose one of those objects and spawn it. Then after spawning the first piece, it will repeat the process and keep spawning them next to the previous piece. So here is the system working, to show you what I mean. As you can see, there are random pieces being spawned after one another, which is basically the terrain generation that we want for Crossy Road. The only issue so far is that only a certain amount of terrain pieces are being generated. So far 50 because that's what I set it to. So let's go ahead and make it an endless system where more and more pieces get spawned. So to make the endless generation, I basically made it when the player reaches the end of the terrain, more gets generated. It's very simple actually and it fixes the problem. Now to make it more optimized and less laggy, let's also delete some platforms. Okay, so I've set it up when a platform goes out of the camera's view, it gets deleted. This sort of fixes the laggy issue problem. So next, I imported a log model into Unity, and I also attached the same movement script as the one on the car to the log. So now that the log moves, I need to make it possible for the player to jump on it. So the way I tackled this is by making the chicken a child of the log. This basically makes the chicken move with the log. It's actually really cool. By making the chicken a child of the log, basically whatever happens to the log, the chicken will follow the log. They're basically just like super glued together. So here is that snip of code if you want to go ahead and use it for yourself and in your own projects. And it's actually a really useful thing that Unity allows you to do. Next, it's time to actually make this look more realistic. So I downloaded a bunch of textures that I will use for the different terrains. I applied them onto the objects and bam! It still looks terrible. But unfortunately, it's the best I can do with free textures available out there. There is a bunch of cool textures that you can go ahead and buy, however, I'm not willing to spend my own money on this project that I'm never going to get back to after this video. I then started creating a water shader, but in all honesty, it just broke things. And the thing is, the water shader looked pretty cool. Here it is right now. I was really proud that I managed to make this, and it just looks kind of cool. But it basically wouldn't work with my chicken mechanics, so I had to scrap it. So instead, I'm using this ugly ass texture that doesn't move and just kind of doesn't look good. Alright, and then set up the spawning of the objects. So now cars, logs, and trees will randomly spawn amongst the map. I also made a simple little UI menu and a start screen. Oh, obviously the game loop. So now you can die and the game's over screen will appear, and then you've got a choice of playing again or exiting the game. I then moved on to adding some sounds and sound effects, so I basically just added some ambient noises and added sound effects wherever possible. So that's basically the game. The final thing I did was I imported the high definition render pipeline and set up ray tracing. I also played around with some lighting and post-processing, and the game is done. Personally, I think it's pretty cool and I like the feel of it, but it's not the best piece of my work. But it's really all I had time for this week. And unfortunately, I won't be releasing the game as of now, however I will in the future, maybe like next week. The reason for this is because there's quite a few issues that I want to fix before releasing this game. The game functions and you can play it, there's nothing wrong with the gameplay or anything, the only issue is really that it lags. I've got a pretty good PC, but it's very laggy, and I basically want to make some optimization settings so that you guys can play around with the quality and stuff, because not everyone's going to have the most amazing PC. And I'm sorry, but I just didn't have time this week. I also will fix some issues as the shader actually working. I'll make that work when I do release the game. But the biggest problem is I tried to run the game on my sister's computer, which is a lot worse, and it just kind of crashed her PC. So I just want to make sure that that's not going to happen if you download this game. Which is why I'll probably release it next week when I make some setting options where you can select the quality and stuff. Anyway guys, that's all I had time for this week. So if you have liked this video, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, as it does help me out. Leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed it, because that tells me that you are enjoying my content. And if you have anything nice to say or any suggestions for any future videos, go ahead and comment them down below. And once again, go ahead and follow me on all my social media. There will be links in the description below. And join the Discord, guys. There is a bunch of you in the Discord already, and it's an amazing community where you can go ahead and chat with me, do some cool stuff, share your project, and share your YouTube channel and other stuff. So all of that will be in the description below. So thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! And as per usual, a special thank you to all my Patreons, Nicole Dance, Yan, Vita, Darkwings, TARDIS IT Guy. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much for your support.